So this is the 2017 Nissan Pathfinder. This is the Platinum with 4-wheel drive, and instead of the usual clutch kick episodes where we do burnouts and smoke tires and drift around corners and stuff like that, we decided to take the Pathfinder on a road trip because of course that's only appropriate. We're here at Mount Rainier here in Washington, showing off some of our Pacific Northwest scenery, and it's very suiting for this type of car. When I first started driving this car, I found it a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. I used it to go to work, to pick up friends, and the car overall just seemed to be lacking something, and I'll explain a little bit more later on why that is. But on a road trip, on a little bit longer drive, the car starts to make a lot more sense. First and foremost, it's very comfortable. The seats are very comfortable, the cabin is very comfortable, it's very well insulated from outside noises, both road noises as well as wind noise. You don't even hear much engine noise until you step on it a little bit. The engine pulls pretty strong as well. It's a 3.5 liter V6, which pulls pretty strong down low, although once you get into higher rev range, you hear that it sounds a little bit coarse and a little bit unrefined. The CVT, however, is surprisingly responsive. It drops the ratio pretty quickly so they can pass, and it's pretty smooth as well. It's actually one of the more surprising CVTs that I've used, but of course Nissan was one of the first companies to use CVT, so they've had the longest time to perfect this technology. On curvier roads, the car handles pretty well for crossover. It's over 4,500 pounds, so it's no lightweight, but it handles its weight nicely. The steering has good weight to it as well. The other thing I really enjoy is actually the brakes, which are have great stopping power to them, actually. When you step on them, they actually bring the car to a pretty confident stop, which is really important in a big, heavy car. Overall, this car is very well suited for long journeys or road trips, family vacations, things of that nature, which is, I think, the type of thing that families will be looking for when they're purchasing cars like this. So when I first started driving this car, I was a little underwhelmed, and a big part of that has to do with the interior of the car. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it does feel a little bit dated in here. Just the way the controls are laid out, the design of the controls, the quality of the controls, the fake wood used here, it just feels about a generation behind. The same goes for the technology as well. We have the upgraded Bose system in here with USB connectivity, Bluetooth and auxiliary as well, but it doesn't have Apple CarPlay, which the less expensive Nissan Rogue does, which is kind of strange. So it has most of the features, but the features themselves are a little bit behind. In terms of driver's assistance, it has blind spot monitoring, although I find it kind of strange that it's right here inside the car rather than by the mirror where you're looking anyways. It has forward collision avoidance, which does the brakes for you. It has adaptive cruise control, although it doesn't come to complete stop during traffic time. In fact, after it comes to complete stop, after about a second or two, it will release the brakes and you'll start inching forward, so definitely something to be cautious about. When using the adaptive cruise control, I didn't have that much confidence in it. It adjusted the speed kind of slowly. When someone swerved in, it took a while for the car to adjust to the speed difference, which was kind of off-putting, so I generally don't use that system in this car. It's also missing lane departure warning, which is a fairly basic feature at this point. Things like the backup camera, which it has a 360-degree view, however, it's quite pixelated and sometimes difficult to see what's going on the screen. The screen itself is quite high resolution, but the camera quality leaves something to be desired. Overall, the interior is in need of a little refinement, and some of the features could be brought up to date as well. The back seats are very comfortable. Great legroom. You can adjust the seat forward and backwards, and you can recline the seat as well. The third row, which is an Achilles heel in a lot of crossovers of this size, is actually pretty easy to access. You use one lever to move the seat forward and you just climb on in. Of course, the seats are more suited for children, probably under 5'5", but they will work in a pinch. Even when the third row seats are up, the rear trunk has a decent amount of space for cargo, and there's also space underneath the trunk floor as well. There's also heated seats on the outboard seats here on the Platinum trim level, as well as a 110 standard outlet for you to plug electronics in. There's also dedicated rear climate controls, so rear passengers can adjust the climate to exactly whatever they desire. Up above, we have a full panoramic moonroof so that even the rear passengers can enjoy sunshine like on days like today. Underneath the gear shifter, there's the four-wheel drive control. You can use two-wheel drive, which is going to give you the best fuel efficiency, auto, which automatically switches between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive as the system deems necessary, and lock, which forces it into a full-time four-wheel drive mode. This is going to be typically used during snowy or slippery conditions. One thing that I noticed when I first started driving was in two-wheel drive mode, the car seems to have a bit of torque steer under hard acceleration. Especially coming out of corners, it felt like the steering wheel was trying to fight me. After a while, I started driving in the automatic mode, which sent power to the back as it deemed necessary, which made the steering a lot more pleasant under hard cornering. All things considered, I get the SV trim with tech package and tow hitch. This gives you most of the features we talked about, such as the backup camera, backup sensors, and blind spot monitoring, but brings the total price down to $35,000, which is almost $10,000 less than our test car. This makes the total vehicle price much easier to swallow. You're still getting a 7-passenger family vehicle with excellent cargo capacity and a respectable set of driver's assistance features. The Pathfinder therefore really puts the utility in sport utility vehicle.